We continue to track the developments in India's northeastern state of Manipur. Tensions continue, so does the divide between the Meitei and Kuki community, and the crisis is far from over. It's been 22 months since violence began in Manipur, and Biren Singh finally quit as the chief minister of the state last month, but there is no sight of who his successor will be. There is no timeline of that. As a result, the state is currently under president's rule. Manipur Governor Ajay Kumar Bhalla swung into action straight away. He gave a deadline to militants in the state to surrender arms. Home Minister Amit Shah earlier this week directed security forces to ensure free movement of people on all roads in Manipur from the 8th of March. In this video, we'll look where that process has reached so far. Also, the Manipur crisis was discussed in India's parliament today. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman tabled the budget for the state. She tabled a budget of about 35,000 crore rupees for Manipur. This is roughly 8% higher than the revised estimate of about 32,600 crores for the current financial year. But it was the opposition MPs, including the MPs from Manipur, that actually took the Modi government to task for failing to ensure peace in Manipur, and why Prime Minister Narendra Modi has still not bothered to visit the violence-hit state. Hello and welcome, I am Shubham Chauhan. Let's get started. Congress MP from Assam, Gaurav Gogoi, spoke about the Manipur crisis in the Lok Sabha today. He said peace cannot be restored in the state at gunpoint. Gogoi said there was only one way out: listening to the people of Manipur. He reminded the House of PM Modi and Amit Shah's promises of restoring law and order in Manipur, but had clearly failed. Gogoi said both leaders must own up to their mistakes and take responsibility for it. He also demanded an explanation as to why President's rule was imposed in the state, adding that the Manipur budget should have actually been discussed in the State Assembly instead. Now, as per the rules, since the state is under President's rule, its budget has to be approved by the Parliament. As Gogoi kept grilling the government on Manipur, of course, there had to be some interruptions. BJP MP Nishikant Dubey and Speaker Om Birla reminded Gogoi to stick to the topic at hand, which was the budget of Manipur, and not deviate from the issue.
बंदूक के दम पर उत्तर पूर्वांचल में शांति नहीं आएगी सर। बंदूक के दम पर, पुलिस पेट्रोलिंग के दम पर मणिपुर में शांति नहीं आएगी। अगर वास्तविक में शांति चाहिए तो मणिपुर के लोगों को बोलने दो। वास्तविक में शांति चाहिए तो मणिपुर के लोगों को सुनने का धैर्य आपके पास होना चाहिए। उनकी राजनीतिक आकांक्षाएं क्या है, उनके मन में भय क्या है, उनके मन में डर क्या है, उसकी सुनने की ताकत आपके पास होनी चाहिए। सर, ये बार बार अगर ऐसे सदन चलेगा सर, ये ऐसे सदन चलेगा सर, ऐसे फोटो उठा रहे हैं ना सर, अभी तक ये सर आप अलाउ कर रहे हैं। अध्यक्ष महोदय, बहुत गलत है, मुझे अपनी बात रखने दीजिए। मणिपुर एक संवेदनशील मामला है, संवेदनशील मामला है सर। मणिपुर की
कहता है कि डिबेट ऑन सप्लीमेंट्री ग्रांट्स केवल सप्लीमेंट्री डिमांड्स ऑफ ग्रांट्स पर भी होगा। ये हाउस रूल एंड रेगुलेशन से चलेगा, चिल्लाने से नहीं होगा सर। कांग्रेस वाले चिल्लाकर मुंह बंद नहीं कर सकते। ये रूल कहता है, रूल ये कहता है कि आप केवल सप्लीमेंट्री।
आप डिस्टर्बेंस मत कीजिए, प्लीज बैठे बैठे।
चिल्लाने से मेरा मुंह बंद नहीं होगा, मेरा मुंह बंद नहीं कर सकते। ये रूल है, ये संविधान है, ये देश संविधान से चलेगा, ये हाउस संविधान से चलेगा। आप जो है, आप केवल बजट पर बात करो, आप सप्लीमेंट्री डिमांड्स ऑफ ग्रांट्स पर बात करो। आप इस तरह से बात नहीं कर सकते हो स्पीकर सर, और ये चिल्ला नहीं सकते। यस सर, यही रूल कहता है, स्कोप यही है सर, इससे आगे नहीं है, और ये चिल्ला कर बंद नहीं कर सकते वो।
आप भी बेटे, आप भी अभी एक आप सुनिए, एक मिनट, आप भी बेटे, आप भी एक, हाँ, मैं आपको वो कट गया।
Gaurav Gogoi also questioned why Prime Minister Modi was absent from the House when important matters are being discussed. To this, Speaker Om Birla said that Prime Minister Modi had given prior notice to his office and the Lok Sabha Secretariat about his engagements. For context, PM Modi is on a two-day visit to Mauritius starting today. The Congress, in fact, took a pot shot at PM Modi's frequent visits abroad. Congress leader Jairam Ramesh called him the frequent flyer. He added that the Prime Minister is insulting the people of Manipur by delaying the visit. Remember, this is an ethnic conflict that has seen more than 250 lives being lost and 60,000 plus people being displaced. It began way back in May 2023. In August 2023, speaking in the Parliament, Prime Minister Modi assured the country that India was with Manipur and that peace would return to the state. In July 2024, he again reiterated that his government is working relentlessly to restore peace in Manipur. Congress's Gaurav Gogoi today questioned as to what happened to these promises, even the ones that Home Minister Amit Shah made on Manipur. Which brings us to the latest happenings in the state. Now, like I said, on the 13th of Feb, Manipur was put under President's rule following the resignation of now former Chief Minister N. Biren Singh. An internally divided state unit of the BJP meant that the party could not find Biren Singh's successor. So there was no other option but to go for President's rule. The centre and its appointee, that is the governor, did decide to take some strong steps to ensure peace. And one of them was a 2-week deadline given by the Governor Ajay Bhalla to warring factions to surrender arms. About 3,000 weapons have been stolen from the state police's inventory in the last 2 years, and only about 1,100 arms were surrendered when the governor's deadline ended. The other move was Home Minister Amit Shah's order to remove blockades put up by these two communities and ensure free movement on the roads of Manipur for the people by the 8th of March. That too found itself in troubled waters. One person was killed and more than 40 were injured in the hill district of Kang Pokpai in Manipur, and this was on Saturday, as Kuki-Zo people clashed with Central Armed Police Forces over the free movement issue. The Kuki-Zo community was protesting Shah's directive. So the police used tear gas to disperse protesters, which eventually led to the clashes. This was the first clash after a comparatively peaceful 4-month phase that the state of Manipur saw. Reports say other Kuki-dominated areas like Churachandpur and Tengumpal, protesters were seen burning tires and also blocked roads with boulders, which the security forces were seen clearing out. Following the Kangpokpai incident, the Kuki-Zo Council imposed an indefinite shutdown in all the Kuki areas from Saturday midnight. Now, for context, the Kuki-Zo and Naga community dominate the hills of Manipur and Meiteis dominate the valley region of Manipur. Now, the conflict between the two has meant that the people from these two communities have been physically separated. Checkposts have been put up, highways have been blocked to ensure one doesn't go in the other's so-called territory. Vijayata Singh of The Hindu reported today that two key national highways, that is NH2 and NH37, continue to remain blocked following the 8th March flare-up. Officials said that the free movement of all vehicles from the valley to hills and vice versa would only resume once the situation normalizes. Now, while we've constantly highlighted the human cost of the violence in Manipur, there's also another aspect to it, its economy. Now, about 52% of Manipur's economy is dependent on agriculture. The ethnic conflict over the last 2 years has meant that normal life has been disrupted, the livelihood of the people in Manipur has taken a big hit, and the state's economy has suffered. Here are some numbers. A data study by The Hindu shows that post the violence in Manipur, inflation has skyrocketed. In January 2023, that's before the violence began, Manipur's inflation rate was just about 1.7%. India's overall inflation rate at the time was over 6%. In May 2023, when the violence in Manipur began, India's inflation was at 4.3%. Manipur's inflation shot up to 9.5%. This trend has continued over the last 2 years, barring a few exceptions here and there. In January 2025, on last count, India's inflation is at 4.3% and Manipur's is still high at 7.4%. The Hindu report also shows that Manipur, whose GST growth rate was way higher than India before the conflict, had now slipped to 3/5 of India. In August 2024, the Comptroller and Auditor General of India, the CAG, pointed out that Manipur's finances are stressed and stabilizing the state's debt is not possible in the near future. The CAG said the debt had grown about 16.31% every year from 2018-19 to 2022-2023. And more than 1,000 hours of internet shutdown too has not helped Manipur at all. Now, it is in this context of strained finances of the state and a fragile environment already, Member of Parliament from Manipur made impassioned appeals to the government on the floor of the Lok Sabha today. Listen in to what the MPs from Manipur had to say.
I would implore upon the conscience of this House again, my rising to speak again and again, if it is not making sense to this august House. Give me the privilege and opinion and the opportunity to relinquish my seat and not come back here again. Coming here and speaking again and again and not being heard and not being executed at ground level. Do you know how painful that is to go back home to an empty home, to people in the streets who don't have any place to go to? And today you bring in a budget that does not address a single part of those affected today.
Shame.
Shame,
Shame, shame.
I wonder, my blame was solely on one person in the state. I had concentrated everything there. I had hoped for more from the leadership of my nation. I still hope on more from the leadership of my nation. Mr. Chair, sir, before I close, this constitution is sacred to each member here in this august house. I need not remind anybody. I have quoted the rule of law. It is a point of order that cannot be bypassed. The budget has to clearly say, this is a notification of the Ministry of Home Affairs. Today the state is being run by the Ministry of Home Affairs. I am closing, Mr. Chair, sir. The Hill Valley section separation is mandatory. There is no separation of that. How would we know which is going to hills, which is going to valley? Nobody would know anything. And for that reason, I would request the Honorable Finance Minister to put this off, bring in the actual budget and the demands for grants so that we can go into the discussion of what is going into the hills and into the valley and a little bit of the pain and hardships that the state is going through.
I thought that there would be measures to deal with this debt burden. There's nothing of that kind. This is a normal aspect of any budget that you expect this budget to reflect, but we don't have. But over and above this, you have this crisis for 21 months. Does that budget reflect anything on that? No, nothing of that kind. 60,000 people, how do you expect that kind of economy of a state to deal with this crisis without the help of the center? We're not asking for UN interventions. We're not asking for international financial institutions to help Manipur. We're asking for additional source of money from the federal government as a constituent state of India. You don't get anything. How do we deal with this 60,000 people who are rendered homeless, villages wiped out, women and children suffering, children's not able to go to school? Had this crisis been there in Bihar or UP, you would have felt the nation in you for you to reflect on your budget.
So there's a long way to go. The question is whether the Modi government is willing to engage in a constructive dialogue with all communities and vice versa to ensure that there is peace in the state of Manipur, and how the government goes about building this trust process with the communities also remains to be seen. That's all we have for this report. Do like and share this video, comment and let us know what your views are, and subscribe to HW News English on YouTube for more such videos. Thanks for watching.